Alright guys, Bitcoin looks like it's at the edge of another meltdown, but question is, what's it gonna take for that to happen and how low can Bitcoin really go from here? Well, today we're gonna give you the lowdown on just that. And what's cracking, you guys? Welcome to the Mango Grove. My name is Krisha, and this is today's Bitcoin analysis video. I have Sean next to me today. Sean, say hello to everybody.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
So I know that some of you guys have missed these daily videos. However, Sean has been doing some live streams. I hope you guys have been catching that because the information that he's been dispensing on there has been pretty freaking clutch. In especially times like this, we got the volatility, Sean, but volatility to the downside.
Unfortunately, now we're threatening an M-like formation, the dreaded M for murder.
Now, the first thing I want to start off with today is, well, the Mango dashboard, okay? Bitcoin's trends on the Mango dashboard. Where is the long-term trend at right now? I know that many of you guys have questions on this, so get on over to app.mangoresearch.co and let's dissect this together. Now, Bitcoin, Sean, on top of that list, all right, let's get into the drop-down. Let's look at all the trends across all time frames.
Looks so ugly. The weekly has now flipped short as well.
Exactly. So now we have short trends. We got bearish trends across all time frames, from your 4-hour time frame to your weekly time frame. Okay, and you can see the returns. We're seeing green returns across the board, which means the bears are seeing follow through across all these time frames. Now, why I personally am heeding to the direction of the dashboard, which is telling me that, hey, Krisha, be careful. Okay, the bears are in control. I'm never going to use this in isolation, guys. All right, I look at the dashboard, I look at the trend, and then I get on over to the chart to see what the chart is telling me. Is this a good place to be shorting Bitcoin at? Is this a good place to be selling my Bitcoin at, right? And for that, I want to take you guys on over to the chart. All right, so here we have Bitcoin, Sean, on the weekly time frame with the Mango dynamic indicator on. All right, so yeah, the dashboard is saying short. Have we lost the dynamic support just yet? And the answer to that question is no, guys. We're still holding dynamic support, currently coming in at around $25,863. Guys, the dynamic has been a very important indicator that we've been looking at to really help us assess, is the trend still intact? And Sean, check this out. So far, we haven't really lost that dynamic support. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yes, we haven't lost dynamic support yet, and all the live streams I've been highlighting the importance of that $25,900 level. It lines up with the M-like formation I talked about in the beginning of this video, right? If we lose this M-like formation, that's when I'll be looking all the way down to around $19,000, $20,000, potentially even lower, right? It gets really, really ugly. And the neckline of that M-like formation right over here, guys, lines up with the dynamic. So we're seeing confluence. We lose the dynamic, we're going to lose that M-like structure as well. That being said, while we are holding the dynamic at the moment, I don't like the fact that we are living within the zone of the dynamic, right? Both the previous times where we bounce off the dynamic, we were closing candles above, albeit the dynamic was a lot thinner back then, right? So it was easier for the candle to close above the dynamic. But this candle over here isn't confidence inducing. Look at that wick. Look at that shadow, guys. We didn't see the strong enough reaction that I would have liked to have seen, right? So what I want to see now over the next week or two is a drift to the top of the dynamic and then a close above it, right? That's when I'll get really, really confident. While we are holding it, I have to err on the side of massive caution. And personally, if I was entering a brand new trade over here, I would not take this trade. Maybe I'd regret it, but I want to see some confidence. And at the very least, on the lower time frames, at the very least, the lower time frame trends on the dashboard, I'll see all of these begin to flip back to a long trend. Also, I do want to highlight another bearish angle right over here, guys. If you draw in a trend line, you could look at this as a break of a rising channel, or if you want to get really, really hardcore with your patterns, you can look at this as a rising head and shoulders. Now, some people are going to argue against that, but the psychology of a head and shoulders is right over here, in my opinion, right? What is a head and shoulders? A initial push to a trend beginning, then a stronger push that forms the head, and then the next push coming in but not as strong, right? Which is why the left shoulder ends up being lower than the right shoulder, because the final push does not break the high, right? And this over here has the psychology of head and shoulders. And when does it really trigger? When we take out the low of the head right over here. Now we haven't taken out the low yet, right? But if you draw in the neckline of this rising head and shoulders, it has triggered. So the final trigger for this would be that low being taken out right over here at around 24,800. Guys, that zone over there is critical for the bulls to hold. If they lose that zone, I'll be looking down to around the 20,000 to around $20,000 level.
And Sean, your downside target actually lines up with the weekly Kijun right here, which comes in at around 23.7k. We have a very, very clear C-span trade that is triggered from the Tenkan going all the way down to the Kijun. So that is likely going to be the next plausible downside target for the bears. Now, as things stand on the weekly time frame, I'm not going to be getting too midterm bullish as I was before, up until Bitcoin actually takes back that Tenkan on the weekly time frame.
I like that. I really like that, because that also lines up with us essentially taking back that breakdown point of the trend, right?
Yeah.
That's really, really important, guys, because any move to the upside over here, any move to that Tenkan should be looked at as resistance, right? We talked about this in the stream as well. The interplay between the weekly dynamic, which is coming in exactly where price is, and the 4D dynamic, which is coming somewhere around where the Tenkan is, right? And we are expecting the most bullish scenario now is for price to actually oscillate between that zone over there, between the Tenkan and this zone over here. That's the most bullish case here. Now, in a edge case scenario, we could re-bottom up, right? But again, that's an edge case scenario, and I wouldn't bet on that happening. If we consolidate like this sideways and then take out the Tenkan, that's when things get really, really interesting and really, really bullish yet again. Now, what Krisha has done for us over here, guys, on this chart is she's gone ahead and marked out and delineated the importance of us claiming back that Tenkan every time we've lost it. Krisha, you want to tell us what's going on here?
Yeah, so every time Bitcoin emerges out of a bear market and we have a sustained trend over the Tenkan, that has usually marked bull run territory for Bitcoin. All right, so I've just gone ahead and marked out every time we've done that starting from June of 2012. And you can see here, since June of 2012, we took out the Tenkan and we had a sustained trend on that, marking the initiation of the bull run phase in that market cycle. Once again, August 2013, same thing. We reclaimed the Tenkan, right? Put in a nice sustained trend. We never lost it even once as that underlying support, and then off to the races, right? This went in from $109 all the way up to $1,175. Man, what a run. Once again, when we did see a sustained trend over the Tenkan, guys, that marked bull run phase. Now, of course, this too was very, very excruciating. In fact, what we're seeing right now is very similar to the trend that we saw back in 2015. It really squeezed people dry. It squeezed people out of all that patience that they were sort of, mustering up there in that phase. But however, the trend still told you, price relative to the Tenkan told you that, hey, the bulls still have control here. Okay, now once again, notice the importance of the Tenkan. For as long as we lived over the Tenkan, it told us, hey, bull run territory. All right, how about April 2019? Once again, we took out the Tenkan here. This was the emergence out of that 3K zone all the way up to 14K. What marked the initiation of that run? Once again, the reclaim of that Tenkan. Okay, back here too, this was the COVID dump, Sean. All right, it's when we took out the Tenkan, getting out of that COVID dump. That was your first sign in that, hey, perhaps it's time to start changing your bearish stance, okay? Once again, we had a sustained trend over that Tenkan and then off to the races from around 7K all the way up to $60,000. All right. Now, once again, we saw something very similar here, right? We took out the Tenkan, had a sustained trend over the Tenkan. Every test of it was met with support until we lost it last week. All right, so this is a very, very important data point, and this is what you guys need to heed too. Caution until we take back the Tenkan. Now, of course, guys, these are just a few of the bullish indicators that we're looking at over here at Mango. There are a bunch of other indicators that we're looking at, and we will be going over that with you guys in the upcoming videos. So if you want to keep up with those indicators, make sure you're hitting the sub and the bell icon. That way you are staying on the right side of Bitcoin. So far, guys, looking for three things, okay? We want that trend on the dashboard to start flipping long. We want price to start living over the Tenkan, okay, at around 28.4K, all right? And the third thing that I'm going to be looking for in order to flip bullish and be like, okay, you know what? The bulls are getting a semblance of control back in their territory. The third thing I'm going to be looking for, guys, is that Bollinger Band signature. All right, so here we have our Bollinger Band in addition to the MACD. I want to see two things on the Bollinger Band and the MACD combination. I want to see, number one, price living over the midpoint, all right, of the Bollinger on the weekly time frame, as well as the MACD crossing bullish. Okay, I want to see that blue line cross over the red line on the weekly time frame and price live over the midpoint for me to be like, all right, the bulls are back in control. Now, if we just zoom out of this picture, we can see that every time price has been living underneath that midpoint, that is bearish territory for Bitcoin. All right, what's marked that bullish run is only when we take back the midpoint. And right now, guys, in this current picture, we're currently living underneath the midpoint. All right, until and unless we take back the mid, we cannot confidently lean short-term to mid-term bullish. All right, it's usually the take back of the mid in every instance since March 2019 that has marked the next run up for Bitcoin. We are not there yet.
Exactly. And I also do want to point out that if you look at the bottom of the Bollinger Band, and the way I like to do it is I place a horizontal on the bottom of the Bollinger Bands coming in from the previous candles, right? Not the current candle, because the Bollinger Band will dynamically adjust to the new volatility. So the previous candle, you place a horizontal over there, and you look to see whether the new candles are closing underneath that horizontal. And what's this horizontal lining up with, guys? It's lining up with our dynamic level right over here, right? So this $25,900 region is the bottom of our dynamic level. It's also confluencing with the M-like structure, and finally it is also the bottom of the Bollinger Bands over here. So a lot of confluence. This is the critical level, guys. Losing this is going to have trend continuation towards the downside. It's only when we claim back the mid over here, 28.4k, is when we get bullish. And what does that line up with? Well, that lines up with our Tenkan right over here at around 28,400. It also lines up with what? The rising channel neckline that we marked out on the dynamic as well over here at 28,400. So we essentially have drawn out the range now for you guys over here at Mango. The bottom, the support zone is right over here, 25,900, right? And the top of the zone, the resistance zone, is right over here at around 28,400, the breakdown point of this upper trend line. So you as a trader, if you are looking to trade this as support and resistance, you're trading within this zone over here. So you essentially long the bottom of the support, you short the top of the resistance. As a trend trader, if you're looking for continuation, you're only looking for trends to the upside above this zone over here. You're only looking for trends towards the downside underneath this zone over here. That's how you keep it simple. Support and resistance traders play within this zone. Trend traders to the upside play above this zone over here. Bears play underneath the zone over here.
Beautiful. Sean actually just boiled it down very, very succinctly for you guys. And this technically wraps up Bitcoin's picture right here. Now, once again, as I'd mentioned in the future videos, I will be going over some of Bitcoin's macro indicators that we are going to be looking at, okay, to keep us on the right side of the market, right? So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you hit the sub and the bell icon, and we'll see you guys in the next update. Now, with this, trade safely, trade stress-free, trade the mango way, trade the easy way. Ciao, you guys.
Ciao.